Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It is the 8th of April, and I'm so happy that you guys are here joining us for another fabulous edition of Tuesday Notary Titans. My name is Jen Neitzel. I am the creator of Marketing for Notaries, and I am joined by my fabulous co-host, the GOAT herself, Laura Beaver. How are you doing today, Laura?
Good afternoon, everyone.
I'm so glad that you are here today, you guys. This is going to be a game-changing call for you. We have a very special guest joining us. And because of that, you know how I normally go over all the announcements in the beginning and tell you about upcoming events and all that great stuff? We're gonna put that stuff in the chat for you today because we want to get to the nitty gritty because I know this crowd and I know you guys are gonna have some questions after today's micro lesson. So, before we get into introducing our special guest today, I just want to remind you how this call works. After our lesson, our guest will be here to answer any of your questions. And Laura and I, along with our very special co host, Jen Cooper, will, and Matt Miller, I don't know, is Matt on the call? I don't see him yet, but I'm sure he
No,
will.
he's not.
um, you guys know Jen and Matt support us on this call every week, and we could not do this without them. We will be answering your business related questions as well. So, how you get in line to have your questions answered is just by utilizing that raise hand function at the bottom of your Zoom screen. It's a little outline of a hand, and that will put you in line to have your questions answered. We prefer to answer the from your raised hand versus from the chat. With the amount of people on this call, answering questions from the chat can get a little confusing. So we appreciate you guys raising those hands. So, like I said, your announcements today will be posted for you in the chat box, including, and this is just an upcoming event I have to throw out, info and link to buy tickets to the Michigan Notary Bootcamp, where I will be the keynote speaker. And if you attend, you will walk away with a 5-point marketing plan for your business. So I hope to see you in Michigan. Okay, guys. Without further ado, I want to introduce you today to Sydney Craig Hart. Sydney is the owner of Smart Simple Marketing. Did I get that right, Sydney? Smart Simple Marketing. I didn't have the website open. And I always want to say simple smart. Anyway, Smart Simple Marketing. She and I met actually through her husband, Will Hart, who was a member of Notary Business Builder. And he had shared with me that they had purchased a storefront about a year ago now, I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah. And of a shipping center, a small shipping center in Northern California where they live. And that he and his wife wanted to learn everything they could about being a notary. And when I saw the extension on his email address that said Smart Simple Notary Marketing, I was like, let me check this out. And let me tell you guys, Sydney has been doing this marketing thing for a heck of a lot longer than I have been doing it. I'll tell you that. How long have you been marketing, Sydney?
Over 19 years.
19 years. And she has built an entire business around the skills that she has built and shares it with people across all kinds of industries, including tech. And she has worked with the meta companies, Facebook and Instagram. She's worked with Google. I mean, she has worked with everybody, you guys. Today is very special because Sydney is going to share her knowledge with us. So, without further ado, I would like to turn things over to Sydney Craig Hart, and she is going to talk to you about your social media strategy. Sydney, welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you all. And I see at least one person I saw that's from the Bay Area. So, hey, Alicia, nice to see you. I'm really honored to be here with Jen and with Laura. So, thank you so much for having me. Let me go ahead and share my screen, and then we'll dive in to the content that I prepared for you today. So, Jen mentioned a number of points about my background, but I think it's important for you to know that. And I'm not sharing this to impress you, but I want you to understand that what I'm sharing is based on lived experience and what actually works. There are so many people you can learn marketing from. Some of them are great, some of them are not so great. And I've been in this business for a long time. So, my husband and I started our marketing consultancy in 2006. Our focus has always been small business. I have personally coached over 11,000 businesses in 82 industries, which now includes notaries. And I considered it such a tremendous privilege to be able to do that. I'm also a fourth generation entrepreneur. My great grandfather was the first Black real estate investor in LA County in the 50s. My grandmother, who was his oldest child, was the first Black woman who was allowed to join the Pasadena Chamber of Commerce. My parents started a business the year I was born, and my husband and I have been entrepreneurs for almost 20 years. So, entrepreneurship is very important to me, and I know what it can do for families and community and legacy. And so, it's something that Will and I are very passionate about. And as Jen mentioned, the reason we became notaries is in addition to all of these businesses that we have served and continue to serve, we still run our marketing consultancy. But we had gotten an opportunity to buy a mailbox store, which is like a UPS store, but it's independent. We're not part of any franchise, so we can do whatever we want. And one of the first things that was told to us by the previous owner was that people are always asking us for notary services, and we don't do that. And so if you guys decided to become notaries, you would have an immediate opportunity to generate revenue. So we purchased this mailbox store in July of 2023. As you can see, we have a lot of experience, and having a mailbox store was not one of them. So we have learned this business from the ground up, and it's been really fun to have a brick and mortar business, which is quite different than the typical large companies and even small businesses that we have worked with. And so we have learned how to grow a brick and mortar business and have a storefront. And we've been able to apply all of our marketing knowledge to that business. And so that's the place I'm coming to you from. If you're a new notary, I'm kind of a new notary too. And so I just happen to have this really extensive marketing background that has helped us launch this business. And actually, our we just celebrated the first anniversary of the store on April 1st. So we literally last week just made a year, and we have been able to 5x the revenue in that business from what the previous owner did in 2023 because of the marketing that we know how to do. So what I'm sharing with you really works. I'm not sharing with you theory and concepts and, airy fairy things. I'm telling you the things that we do in our business every day and the things we encourage our clients to do. So, my first question for you is, in your business right now, we're 3.5-ish months into 2025. What is it that you want to accomplish? Can you share that for me in the comments? I'd love to see specifically what you're looking for. Are you looking for specifically more repeat business, more new clients? Like, tell me what you're looking for. Do you have a certain revenue goal you'd like to achieve? When we hit December 31st of 25, what is it that you will have wanted to accomplish? Okay, good. I like this. More attorney partnerships, more business at hospitals. Very good. Okay. New clients, more new clients. Okay. Be a full-time notary. So we've got some part-time folks here. That's good to hear. Social media for my attorney business, B2B. Okay, this is really good. So this helps me so I can kind of tailor my comments to you. So thank you for weighing in. And as I keep going, feel free to keep sharing. You can chat at me there in the comments. So for best results with your marketing, I want you to keep in mind that even though today we are talking about social media, it's important to think about your marketing from an integrated perspective. So for the best results, you are going to want to make sure you integrate your marketing online and offline. So obviously, as notaries, we are out in the public. We are meeting people. We're going to their homes. We're going to their residences, their businesses. We're meeting them at coffee shops. So as you're meeting with people in person, as you are inviting those clients to follow you on social media, you want to make sure that you are also thinking about how to deepen and build that relationship. You want to be thinking about email marketing. How can you send out regular newsletters and announcements? What kind of promotions are you thinking about doing? What kind of campaigns are you promoting? Are you hosting your own events? Are you promoting other local events or businesses? Are you building your own community? So social media is incredibly powerful, but as you well know, you don't have complete control over your social profiles. The powers that be at Meta do, and at Instagram and Google, etc. So we use these tools and leverage them to the best of our ability and for their functionality. But we also have to keep in mind that because we don't have full control over them, we need to use them and integrate those resources into marketing that we do 100% have control over. You do have control over where you go networking. You do have control over who you email. You do have control over what types of events you host or promote. So think about social media as part of your integrated marketing strategy. It is not the end all be all of your marketing. And I think that's really important because, like, when I tell that story about that we turned the revenue from our store from a five-figure business into a six-figure business in less than a year. We did that because we did exactly what you see on this page. We did it in an integrated way. And we do offer mobile notary services, but a lot of the notary work that we do happens in our store. We have an office and a conference room in the store. We invite clients there and they come and they do their notary services there. And when we need to, then we'll go out and do mobile. So just think about this from a strategic perspective. And I know you're busy and I know it can feel really overwhelming to do this, but we're going to talk about how to do it in a smart, simple way because you don't have endless amounts of time, energy, or money to invest in this. And so we're going to honor that with what we talk about in the next few minutes. So the first question people often ask me is, what platforms should I use? So these are literally the platforms that we use in our business that help us to consistently attract notary business. We're doing notary services almost daily. We offer notary services 7 days a week, 6 days a week. We offer it in our store. And so the platforms that we have focused on are Facebook, Nextdoor, uh, Google, and Instagram. How many of you are active on Nextdoor? Let me go back to my chat here. Are you guys familiar with Nextdoor? Okay, good. If you are not on Nextdoor, you absolutely should be active on Nextdoor. You can set up a business profile there, and we actually get a lot of business people just walking into our store because of Nextdoor for notary services. So we do a lot of other things, shipping and shredding and lots of other things, but we get a ton of people coming into our store just because they saw us on Nextdoor, and they don't always respond. They're not big active folks. Like, they're not always going to like your posts and comment on them, but it definitely drives bookings. It definitely drives appointments and revenue and people into the store. So whichever of the platforms you choose based on your business and what is relevant in your area, you want to make sure that you are consistent with them. So you don't have to be on all the platforms. Even if you start with one, wherever you feel the most comfortable and you can be consistent and contribute in a meaningful way, that's where you should be. That is smart and simple and strategic. So some marketing experts will tell you, well, you have to be on all of these. And I don't think that's true. In fact, I know it's not true. I know that consistency trumps everything. And so wherever you can be the most consistent is the best platform for you. Now, when you're thinking about your platforms and the type of content you want to share, you want to make sure that the content is educational, it's entertaining, it's inspirational, and it's useful. So there's a lot of different ways to do that without necessarily promoting yourself. You can definitely talk about your services. You likely offer a variety of different types of notary services, which is great. But you also want to share reviews and testimonials. You want to tell people quick tips like, if you have pets and you have a notary coming by, this is how to prepare your home and your pets. You might have neighborhood events. Maybe there is you're really well connected with the Chamber of Commerce, or there's some other business influencer in the area that you connect with. Share those events. It brings more traffic to you. It creates community. Get to know your audience. Ask questions. Do polls. Maybe you go live and do a Q&A session for 15 minutes. Like, what questions have you always wanted to ask a notary, or what do you not know about getting a notary service? Share about your company. If you have other employees, if you have a partner, even if it's your kids, share about yourself and behind the scenes and the background. So there's a lot of different ways to create content that keeps you top of mind and that is interesting and fun to watch and useful without just saying, hey, need a notary? Come book me. Like, that's not what you want to do. You really want to look at building relationships and contributing to the spirit of your local community. That is what gets results. And that's what helps people remember you because they don't feel like you're selling something. They feel like you are there as a resource. Um, Depending on what specifically you are looking to do, you want to also think about providing posts and content with those specific goals in mind. So, marketing is all about testing and specificity. And so, you want to make sure that the type of content you're creating and the way you're engaging with your audience is specific to the goal that you want to achieve. So if you're just getting started and you just need people to know that you're there, share behind the scenes content, share stories about how you got started, share what made you decide to become a notary in the first place, share, some context around the business community in your area. We have a lot of nursing homes, or we have did you know we have like 35 attorneys in our local area? Make sure that you're just creating awareness for what you do. If you find that you're answering the same questions over and over again to clients and prospects, create content about that. Maybe people are always asking about remote notary services. Maybe they're asking questions about your fees. Maybe they're asking questions about what types of IDs are valid. You can answer those questions and provide that customer service through your content. If you're trying to drive bookings, then make sure you're talking about the convenience of your services. Make sure you're talking about what your range or radius of service is. Talk about ease of booking. You can book online at your convenience. So make sure that the content you're creating is relevant to the action you want people to take. So this is why you want to be strategic with your posts. It's not just about posting every day or every other day. You want to be thoughtful and strategic in what you're posting to make sure that the time and energy you're spending on social media is going to yield the results that you're looking for. Another way to um, make your content engaging is to do video. So this post has absolutely nothing to do with us as a notary. It has nothing to do with our notary services, but we're big wine lovers. We live in a wine valley, and we want to be a part of that conversation. So it really is about being top of mind. So this winery opened. When did it open? I think it opened in December. It just so happened that I was the first customer at the winery. That was not intentional. I just was going by to say hi to the owner, and he was like, "Hey, you're the first one. Want a free glass?" Of course, I said yes. Who turns down free wine? So I made a video series about Ryan and his new tasting room and the story behind why he started it, etc. So your content doesn't always have to be about you, but this content, you see, I got whatever it was that I took this clip. There were 37 people that liked it, and we got a bunch of shares, and he shared it on his social. So your content should be engaging and about your community, because a notary service is a very community-based service. People don't come from out of state to get your notary service. The people who book you, they probably live within 5 to 15 miles of where you are. So you want to make sure that your content is engaging and you are positioning yourself as part of the community so that you stay top of mind. Like I said, it's really important to plan out your content with a content calendar. You can post daily if you feel like you can manage that and you have the capacity to create that content and do it well. If you're just starting out or this is a struggle for you, don't try to plan it daily. Do it maybe you start out with committing to I'm going to post once a week on Instagram and I'm just going to do really great content there. That's fantastic. I'd rather you do that than post crappy content on multiple platforms 3 times a week. So do what you can do well. You want social media, when it gets you results, it's about quality, it's not about quantity. But you do want to plan it out. And again, be thoughtful about the type of post. What are you trying to accomplish? What's the link? Like, where are you sending people? Can you create a variation of that post on one of the different platforms to take advantage of those features? Facebook has different features than Instagram, than LinkedIn, than Nextdoor. So you want to make sure that you're actually taking time to plan out what it is you're doing. I usually recommend planning this out by the month because if you do it week to week, the days fly by so fast. Sometimes it's hard to do that. But planning by the month tends to work really well for a lot of business owners. I'm gonna just briefly go through this because I mentioned it earlier. As I said, you really want to use social media to help you build up your own assets that you can control. And sending email newsletters and announcements is a really important way of staying in touch because everybody on social media isn't going to see every post you publish, and all of your audience isn't even on social media. So you definitely want to follow up with different types of emails. And here's just a variety of emails that you can send out that, again, are not, hey, remember me? I'm here as your notary, but you can share different things that make your content useful and interesting. These are a few, and I'm going to share these pictures of these slides. So if you would like to receive that, you can share your email address in the chat and then I can share these tips with you. But these are some elements that you would want to make sure you include in all of your emails. Again, thinking about that integrated approach to your marketing. And I wanted to get to this part next. So thinking about your marketing plan when you are looking at what makes sense for your business, keep it really simple. One of the easiest ways to plan out your content is to come up with monthly themes. And that can be, there's always any day of the week. It's like National Pizza Day or whatever. You can incorporate things like that. You maybe can do seasonal themes, maybe thinking about back to school, spring, June is graduations and weddings. Thinking about things that are relevant to your business, but plan it out by month. And then that way you can start to share things that are special promotions. You can highlight certain services. If it's the anniversary of your business, maybe you want to highlight that. So really be holistic, not just in your content calendar specifically for social, but think bigger about your overall marketing plan. And that way, when you're out networking or even you're out delivering services to clients, you have the ability to incorporate those messages into how it is that you're conveying your business. So one of the most important things I want you to take away from this very brief session is that consistency trumps everything. If you are consistent and you keep showing up in front of people with a relevant message that's engaging, that is easily approachable, that's friendly, that feels efficient, you are going to grow your business. So what matters more than what you do is that you're doing it well and doing it consistently. So that is like the key message that I want you to take away from what we're talking about here. You are going to be looking for engagement, and that's just to track your own progress and to see how you're progressing. But remember, everybody doesn't respond on social media. So a lot of times people who have never liked or commented on one of my posts will walk into my store and say, hey, can you do a notary for me right now? So don't get overly anxious if you feel like your numbers are low. What you're actually looking for is dollars and bookings and people approaching you. So keep in mind that's the real engagement, but it is useful to track the engagement on the platforms because they do provide those tools. And that also allows you to make adjustments to your strategy as you go along, because you'll learn based on the demographics and insights that you gather how you can adjust your content to attract more of your ideal client. So you can unlock the power of social by doing an integrated approach, by being authentic and being part of the conversations around you, and also by spending time planning ahead and using a content calendar. And because I only had 20 minutes to spend with you today, which was fantastic, and I'm going to answer some more questions, I put together this resource for you. It's specific for notaries. If you go to that link, you can access it. It's $7, and it is what I would teach you if I had an hour or two to spend with you. So it goes deeper into the topics that we've discussed. And I think that is our 20 minutes. And Jen, I'm happy to answer any questions that your audience may have.
Wow, Sydney, that was amazing. And now I'm like, gosh, I wish we had just said the whole hour. Do it because this is
It's
so
okay.
great and it's such good information. Social media, from my experience working in the marketing arena, and this goes for notaries or any other business, is just something that can get really confusing. And you've laid this out so simply. And guys, I want to tell you this book. Jen's going to put the link in this ebook for the ebook in the chat, the $7 book. She glimpsed it for us before we opened up the room. It's one of those things that you would probably pay triple for or even more. Very valuable and has resources in it for you to do your planning and get the ideas out of your head. So I know you guys have got to have some questions for Sydney. So let's go ahead and stop sharing. There we go. All right. Now, digital or raise your digital hand down at the bottom of your screen there if you have any questions for Sydney about a social media strategy for your business, or if you need clarity on any of the things that she brought up today. We're all going to go quiet for a minute, Sydney. This happens every week.
That's great. I know that means people are thinking it's no
Let
problem.
me ask you
And
something a question
yeah,
that I get often. And those of you who are members of Marketing for Notaries will realize a lot of the things that Sydney talked to you about today are things we talk about in Marketing for Notaries, because what she's reviewing is good old-fashioned marketing tactics, right? But a lot of notaries are just convinced that they want to talk about and they want to build social media around notary things
mm,
like the stamps have to be a certain color in a certain state, or the font on the stamp has to be a certain size, or you have to use blue ink for this document or black ink for that document. How does that translate on social media, Sydney? I mean, what's the what's the value in that versus the value in building up the community as you were talking about?
yeah, so that's a great question. I'm glad that you asked that. And remember your audience. So you want to create content that is relevant to your audience. And let's be honest, your audience doesn't know or care um, about the color of ink.
Bingo. Yep.
They don't know. Oh, you know what? You're right, you guys. That link isn't working. Hold on one second, Jen. Answer that question and and then I'll come back. Wait, that's weird. I wonder what happened. I just tested it before I gave it to you. I'll keep
It might
talking
have
while I'm
crashed your
lurking. Hold on,
site.
guys.
Oh
Okay.
no.
No, it's okay. So your audience doesn't care about what stamp color or what font color, or they don't care about any of that. They care about getting their documents notarized quickly and correctly. That's what they care about. Here, Jen, I'm going to give you this other link because I think it's actually the Bitly thing that's not working. So
Mm.
here's I don't know how you want to share it, but let me give this to you this way. And then that way they can just go straight to it.
Are you putting it in the chat?
Is that okay if I do that?
Yes, absolutely. Please feel
Okay,
free.
thank
Feel
you.
free to, yeah, just put in the chat.
Okay, let me do that now. And then I'll get back to answering your question. It's a long, ugly link, so apologize for that, guys, but it'll work.
That's okay. It's really valuable. I want everybody to be able to tap into that if they need it. And I like what you said, Sydney, about, or excuse me, what Michelle Wilbur actually said in the chat. She said other notaries typically aren't our clients. And sometimes we lose that when we are thinking about our social media strategies and we start talking about, we want to talk about ink colors and fonts and blue versus black ink because we think it establishes us as an expert in our field when in fact, it's just boring. I mean, we find it interesting, as
Yeah,
notaries, but we're not
exactly.
our audience. You're talking to a consumer now. So anyway, take it away, Sydney.
That's okay. So yeah, that's the thing is your audience cares about how quickly they can get to you and is my will going to be notarized correctly? Is my trust going to be notarized correctly? Is this document that I'm transferring my car to or I'm selling my car to this other person? Is it done so I can make sure that it's legal? So those are the things that your audience actually cares about. Here, let me put this in. Let's make sure this works.
There we go. I think it just,
Did I give that to everybody?
no,
Don't
just
worry,
send it
you
to me.
guys. I promise I'll get it to you right after this. So don't worry, you won't miss it. But so those are the things you want to think about. Your audience really wants to know about what matters to them, and they don't care about what size paper or what size font or what color ink. So if you are using social media to build your business, most of you said, I need new clients. People said, I want new partnerships. People said, I want more repeat business. You need to create content that speaks to that. So if you have someone like an estate attorney who needs a notary every week or however often they're completing packages, then you want to create content that speaks to what matters to that estate attorney. They want someone reliable. They want someone who knows the state laws and keeps track of them. They want someone who can handle maybe a challenging situation with an elderly person. So those are the types of things you want to think about. What matters to the person who is buying the notary services? All of us who are notaries, we have lots of places where we can get that information that's relevant to us, but your content needs to speak to what's in it for the person who's actually buying your service because that's what's going to help you grow your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it looks like we have some
I
questions.
see.
And so
Oh,
I am
real,
ready
real.
to get into these because this information is just so valuable. And Sydney just got the link posted again. Does this take you though, Sydney? Let me
No.
ask.
Is it working? If it's
What the
not
link is
working,
doing, it's taking them to the site. It's showing that it's a test site. And if they try to check out and it looks like it's free, it gives them error messages. So I don't know
okay.
what's, yeah.
My assistant helped me set this up right before the call, like literally, and we
Okay.
may have missed a step in our flurry to get it done. So
Well, tell
we'll
you what, let's do this.
make sure we'll
Yeah.
send it to you so you can grab it.
Yeah, I'll have this available to you guys next week as well, because I have a feeling we'll be talking about social media for a while. This is such important stuff. Paula in Arizona, what is your question for Sydney today?
Two things. Sydney, where are you from?
I'm sorry.
Where are you from? Where
I'm
you...
here in Northern California.
Oh, darn, I wish we in Arizona. Another thing is, gosh, what was the other one I was gonna ask you? Magnets on cars. Do you believe in that? I
I think it's great if that is, if something that you want to use to promote your business. I actually just ordered a magnet for a customer that I created the design for her yesterday. So yeah, we do. I think it's great. I think it's a great strategy depending on your area.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do it ever since Laura said something about somebody called her and she was traveling on the road or something. And yeah, so happens I'm behind you. So she got a
Big
signing
rig.
off that, right, Laura?
Yeah, it was
Yes.
Big Rig
Um,
following me.
Yeah,
one
that's
thing
ever since that story, I just like, oh, I gotta get me one. So I'm
Yeah,
actually,
so one of the things you might want to consider with a magnet, I don't have a magnet on any of my vehicles, but if I did, I would put my business name, I would put my phone number, and I would also put the handle to my social profiles. So speaking, this is a great example of integrating your online and offline marketing. Obviously, your car is offline,
right,
and you can use that to drive traffic to your social media profiles. And if you are setting up your profiles, it's really good to make your handle the same on all of them. So, like for us, for our store, it's the Soon Valley Solutions for everything. Like we really looked and thought about the size of the handle to make sure it fits all of the platforms. And
right.
so you want to think about that. Like you don't want to have it's confusing to your audience if you have a different handle on Facebook than LinkedIn, than Instagram, etc. So we create magnets for businesses all the time. And if that's something you want to do, use it to integrate your online and your offline. Like don't just put your logo and your phone number, but create a way where people can connect with you online.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great question, Paula. And Rob over here in Texas in Trophy Club. Rob, oh, he looks like he's coming back though. Hold on, here he comes. There he is. Hey, Rob.
Hey,
What's
Jen, give me 1 minute. I've got my AC guy here. I'm just
Sure.
checking out
I'll
right
go
now.
over to
Thanks.
Laura and we'll come back to you, Rob. Laura, what is your question for Sydney today?
Hi, Jen. Hi, Sydney. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation.
You're welcome.
I have a question. About a year ago or so, when I had first started getting into the marketing and I had hired a marketing mentor at the time, she told me that it's like if you're marketing to different types of professionals like attorneys, title, escrow, the general public, etc., to do 30 days at a time to market to each type, like 1 month focused just on attorneys, the next month just on title, etc., etc. And I wanted to see what you thought about that. Do you think that's a good strategy, or do you think it's not necessary? Or
Um, I think that's a pretty blanket statement to say. So my short answer to that is no, I don't agree with that. And this is the reason why I don't agree with that. It takes anywhere from um, 7 to 15 touches to get someone's attention with
Mm.
marketing. So a lot of no, every once in a while, someone sees your message and they pick up the phone and call you, and that's great. On average, people have to see you over and over and over again to build that trust and to feel comfortable and confident enough to reach out to you. So
Yeah.
if you were just to say, I'm going to reach out to over 30 days to this group and that group and this group, I don't really know what the outreach looks like over that 30 days, so I can't say whether or not that makes sense. What I think is more effective is I do think the specificity in targeting different audiences is good, but I also think that what's more effective is just to have a variety of messages that appeal to different people that are going to be delivered consistently, and doing that online and offline, and just making sure your messaging is really consistent. So for
Mm.
example, we are always talking about our brand values, which are community and connection and convenience. Those are
Mm.
the brand values that we stand on. And so any content we create is focused on one of those three things, if not all three. And so when people hear different things, different messages resonate with them at different times. Maybe, all of the sudden someone's parent has taken a turn for the worse and they're like, oh my God, we never did finish that trust. Well, now because you've built that relationship, you're top of mind. Or the attorneys who you want to target, they also might appreciate seeing that message over and over and over again in different formats. So, what I
Mm.
think is more important than just a blanket 30-day campaign per audience is getting really clear about your messaging, being really consistent with that messaging in front of the people that you want to target. So instead of maybe 30 days, I might say if you want to target these different audiences, make sure that the time you're spending networking, you're going to those very specific attorney events instead of your general Chamber of Commerce events, or you're going specifically um, to real estate focused events instead of just general, like, hey, here's a happy hour in our town. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think
Mhm.
that it needs to be more specific and strategic, instead of a blanket thing. But what's more important is the clarity of your message and the consistency of you getting that message in front of your target audience.
I think that's super wonderful. And honestly, that's what feels the most natural. I, yeah, I thank you for that because I want people to know who I am naturally. I just thought, I'm so new to marketing. I thought maybe I'm spreading my fingers too thin, or my internet fingers too thin, so to speak, if I don't kind of talk to one audience at a time. But I think you're right, because people are really going to hire you based on your authenticity and how you do business and your values and things like that, and not necessarily because of anything else. So I think that's just processing and registering now. So thank you.
Yeah, you're
That was,
welcome. And
oh,
I don't know the full context of what she shared with you, so I'm not trying to poo-poo on her idea.
I
Just to be
know.
clear, I wanted to answer based on the information you gave me, but
Yeah.
I'm all about simplicity and strategy. And so simplicity, strategy, and consistency is how I've been successful over 20 years. So that's what I'm passing on to you because I know that it works.
Thank you so much.
That's a great question, Laura. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, Rob is back, and he has a question for you, Sydney.
I
Okay.
do. And just real quick, though, I do want to mention on the magnets at a local networking group that I went to, there was an insurance agent that was running my insurance, and he was like, I had magnets on my car. He's like, do you have commercial insurance on that? And I did not. And he was like, you can't have those magnets on there because if you get hit, we're not covering you. It falls under commercial. Then just like when they call and they ask if you're driving for DoorDash or Uber or something. So just make sure you're covered that way to whoever asked about the magnets. My question to you, Sydney. So first, I love the fact that you said create content that isn't necessarily related to the notary business. I really have not been heavily marketing. I actually just signed up for Jen's marketing for notaries yesterday. I'm so excited. And finally able to really put some marketing efforts behind this. I've made a couple blog posts. One of which is of a local coffee shop has brought all my traffic, or not all, but most of my traffic to my website came from a photo of a coffee. Like, I also am getting a lot though from Google Business Profile stuff or whatever reviews that I've been making under my account, including George over there and Jen. I love George, the coffee shop. Sydney, my question to you is, I've been wanting to do like more like partnerships in terms of like with estate planning attorneys or like my son's college counseling company. They need like notary for their power of attorneys when they send their kids off to college, their clients off to college. I'm concerned though about crossing that border of advice versus making people aware of these marketing partnerships, if that makes sense. So like if I'm partnering with a college counselor, I'd like to do a workshop night with them, but also promote on my website or my socials, excuse me, about that night. Like, do I cross the line though into advice by recommending this service or partnering with this service?
Okay, so let me see if I understand your question. I'm trying to pull out the question from everything you said.
Sorry.
Are you asking if promoting a partnership positions you as a person giving legal advice and you don't want to do that?
Right.
Okay, so I'm not an attorney and I don't play one on TV. So
Sure.
this is for accurate advice legally, you need to talk to your attorney. What I will say is that first of all, promoting a workshop is not giving legal advice. I mean, I've been promoting workshops since 2008, and none of them have had anything to do with legal advice. So I don't think the partnership in and of itself and or promoting the partnership or the workshop should be or could be construed as legal advice. The simplest way, if you really want to protect yourself, I don't know what state you're in, so maybe your state has very specific laws about that. I don't know, but you can always just say at the bottom of the website and in the bottom of the post, nothing presented here should be considered
legal advice.
You can get that language from your attorney. But just to answer your short question, the act of creating a partnership or promoting that partnership or workshop or anything, that's not legal advice. And so I think if someone really tried to take it that way, that would be a stretch. But if for your comfort level and your state, you need to add that language to whatever content you're sharing, then I think that makes sense.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And you're welcome.
Thank you, Sydney, for that. And Rob, great question. And I just want to tap into Laura here really quick. And let me explain, Sydney, as notaries, we have to be very careful that we don't cross over into the, as you know, into the unauthorized practice of law. So I'm just curious, Laura, if you had anything to add to that.
I don't think it is the unauthorized practice of law. But what I would be careful about is connecting that I'm promoting or referring a particular attorney, and then I'm the notary on the back end, and making sure, first of all, there's no connection that way, either financial, because it's against the law in almost every state. You cannot get paid for referrals to attorneys The exception is legal plans in California. But if you're not in California and it's not a legal plan, then, you know, it falls under the, be very careful about promoting in that way.
Mhm.
So, sorry,
Go ahead,
all right.
Rob.
If I partner with the estate planning attorney, or I partner with this college counseling company, but I'm only being paid for the notarization of the power of attorney or
Yeah.
whatever it is, that's not considered a referral fee. I can still receive
No, you're
that,
charging
or-
for the service you're providing.
but I'm not
I
receiving for sending a client $100 or whatever.
Right. I think there's two things. One is there's no obvious financial gain for you if they choose to go ahead and work with that person you've partnered with, and you're going to be the notary on the back end of it.
Okay.
Personally, the way I avoid it is I have more than one referral. So I work with multiple attorneys,
Mhm.
right? And a legal firm. And so based on what the client's telling me, they may not be a candidate for the attorney I have because that's a high priced thing, and they told me they're budget friendly. You know, that's what they're looking for. So I have multiple referrals to put out there for them based on the information they share. If they wanted to do it yourself, I have a referral. If they want more of a legal plan, I have that to refer. And if they want to sit in an attorney's office, I have 2 or 3 of those.
Okay.
So that's how and then whatever one they go with is who they go with. I partner with all of them. So I'll probably end up being their notary. I don't have to have just one.
Right. Okay. Thank
Does
you.
that clear it up for you, Rob?
It sure does. Thank you. I
Awesome.
appreciate it.
Yeah, and I love that you're looking at partnering with the college planning sector. I think that's something we often
Yeah.
overlook in the notary world. So I think that's fantastic, and keep us posted on how that goes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it in our marketing for notaries community too. I want you to share it over there. I'm sorry, Sydney, did you have something to say?
No, I think that's really cool. I actually hadn't even, I'm still learning all of the millions of ways you can generate revenue as a notary. I know how to market the heck out of it, but I'm still learning all the ways where you can market it too.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Well, you got to keep coming back to this call, Sydney.
Yeah, I do.
We'll
I
do
do.
that
I
with
think
you.
it's part of my schedule for sure. I think we have one more question from Aaron and Cindy. Do you want to, is that okay with you, Jen?
Yeah, Aaron and or Sydney.
Hi, this is Cynthia. Yes, sorry, Aaron. Here's the other part. This is such a good call. This is such a good call. I was listening to Rob's comments and kind of thought away from mine. The first Laura, not you, but Laura, she really prefaced my idea right away. I have a very deep operations history, 20 to 30 years of marketing was another team. So I have a few questions just to make sure I'm connecting the dots, Sydney. I love your presentation. But what you're saying is, I think Laura's comment was, we need to show our authenticity. Yes,
of course.
we happen to be notaries, but we need to show that we're human first. Is that the idea? We need to show that, you mentioned that we need to show that we are associated in the community, and we need to show that that we have other interests that may connect with them as well. But where is that fine line that we do push them over to say the next time you think of an issue, however, please contact me as your notary? Where's that line?
That's a great question. So yes, you absolutely want to and should lead with authenticity. Oftentimes, a notary service is needed at a very sensitive time in a person's life, or because of it's really strictly a business situation. So showing up in those moments can be a very personal thing. I personally have done notaries in hospitals when the person is about to pass away, or helping people get their estate plans in order, those kinds of things. So the authenticity and the approachability of your business and your content is really important. But in order to get people over the line, it's all about helping. So this is not a place where you have to sell. It's like, if you need help, give me a call. Got a question? Give me a call. Want to learn more? Send me an email. Not sure about this? Shoot me a text. Like, just creating just a very simple bridge between, here's the message I'm sharing and why it's relevant to you, and this is what you do to it. And in marketing, we call those CTAs, call to action. So every single post that you publish, everything you do in marketing should have a very specific call to action. And that is, learn more, sign up, call this number, register here, etc. And so that's how you bridge that gap and actually turn that content into cash.
Yeah, it makes it feel so much more natural. I think Laura's word was natural and very organic, which honestly is more sustainable in the long run. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. What other questions do you guys have? What does not get asked does not get answered. So there's no dumb questions. Whoever's holding back, I want you to stand up and raise your hand.
This is a safe place, and we've got about 10 minutes left. So let's use our time wisely with this social media expert. Who else has a question for us? I have not. Jen, Sharon in Michigan has one.
Oh, hello. How are you guys doing?
Fabulous.
Sydney,
What's your
you are
question,
great.
Sharon?
You are great. Okay, so I was just thinking, I know we have to have a Google page, but what would be the second best what am I trying to say? Where else can I go to advertise? I do have a next door. I just started that yesterday, as a matter of fact. But I just want to know what would be the next best thing to advertise at.
Okay, so I spoke to this a little bit in my presentation, but the best place for you to market is the place that you can market consistently. So let me ask you a question. Are you publishing content regularly on your Google business page?
Just starting. I haven't been consistent, but I just started.
Okay, no problem. So Sharon, I would actually encourage you, since you're just getting started, really lean into Google. Make sure that your profile is completely optimized, and you need to take your time going through it because there's a lot of little fields and nuances to how to optimize your Google profile. But Google is, in a way, a social network. I mean, not really, but kind of, because you can post regular updates on Google just like you would do on Instagram or Facebook or whatever else. And so if you just getting started, I would rather see you fully optimize Google and start collecting reviews on Google and posting regular updates on Google. And when you've gotten into a rhythm about that, then maybe add in Nextdoor or Instagram or whatever else makes sense for your audience in your area. But I don't want to see you make the mistake a lot of folks do of spreading yourself too thin at the beginning because you think you're supposed to be in all these places. So remember what I said, quality and consistency trumps everything. So for now, just go all in Google until you get really good at that, and then you can add in some more.
Okay, great. I did I am optimized. I got 3 reviews so far, so I'm doing pretty good so far. Just for starting. So thank you so much. I appreciate
you're welcome.
I'm so glad that she brought that up because it needed to be said again. When we say social media, everybody thinks, oh, I've got to be everywhere. And like TikTok is just a beast of its own. Like that's like a full-time job.
Yeah, I didn't even talk about TikTok today.
Oh, good Lord. So yeah, just where you are already familiar. If you're familiar with Facebook, use that. Don't try and add on stuff, especially in the beginning, because it just gets too much. But Mr. Greer out in San Francisco, you have a question for Sydney.
Hey, Larry.
Hello. My question is, well, most of my notary work until recently, until like the last 6 or 7 months, has been loan signings through agencies.
Okay.
And as I understand, and I've always sort of understood and been told, we can't market to the people that we meet doing those signings. It's considered poaching and will get you blackmarked. So I'm wondering, A, if that is true, or if it's just something that was taught to us long ago and it's not really true. And if it is true, are there ways around that? For instance, I was thinking, what if I got logoed pens? Because I always bring a handful of pens with me anyway. So supposing I got logo pens and left them instead of taking my pens with me, do you know of ways around strictures about contacting signers if you're doing it through something like a signing agency?
Thank you for asking. I think this is a fantastic question, and shout out to my fellow Bay Area dude. So nice to meet you. I'm going to lean too on you, Jen, for this because to be honest, I have not signed up with a single signing service. So I don't know much about them. I personally would be annoyed at someone telling me I couldn't market to someone else. So I don't really know how that works. But what I will say is this. I imagine a lot of times the signing services, they hire you for a specific thing, right? Is it real estate usually or something like that? So if I meet this couple because they're refinancing their home and I notarize their package. And then a month from now, they need help with their estate plan. Are they likely to go back to that site? I don't think so. I don't think there's a connection there, right? I'm trying to
Right.
understand that before I give my answer.
Yeah. So I think I know the majority of these signing services, they will tell notaries, do not market. They need the business, right? So they don't want the notaries to market to their customer during the contract period that they have, hired them for. Um, and if you sign a piece of paper with that particular signing service that says you won't do that, you have to go by what you agreed to for working with the signing service. If it says that during the time you are with those people, you cannot market to them and you cannot market your services directly to the title company, then you don't do that because you've signed a piece of paper saying you won't. Now, does that mean that you can go behind them and market to them later? Does it not mean you can ask for a review from the buyer or seller? Again, Larry, you got to go back to each individual agreement that you sign because each one of those signing services had you sign an agreement. And you need to read those and understand, this is what I agreed to with this particular person. Laura, what do you have to say about this?
I think you pretty much covered it. What they don't want you doing is primarily getting a job from a signing service, finding out who that title company is, and then going to say, hey, I could do it for you direct. That's what the big deal is right there. However, some take it a step further and say, and while you're at the table, you're representing us, so you don't need to be talking about anything else. And if they're saying that's how they want it, then you don't have a choice. Don't be playing around with how can I get around that? Don't get around it. But be careful when you take on new clients to see if that is a requirement or not a requirement. And then the ones that don't, I would say, okay, yeah, then leave the pens, ask for the reviews. Hey, if you need a notary outside of your loan signing business, right? For one document, for estate planning, for something else that's not this line of business, I'm available. So I think that what Jen is focusing on is sometimes there's room for you to do it and sometimes there's not. It depends on what your agreement is with that particular company.
The only thing I agree with all of that. I mean, whatever you committed to, that commitment needs to be honored because that's where your integrity is. So I 100% agree with everything Jen and Laura said. The only thing I would add to that is if you have a situation where you have restrictions on your ability to market to the individual. Let's be real. Like I don't have it with me, it's at my office, but my little box has a sticker on it that has, like, when I open it, the person can see like my name and my business card. So there's ways for you to silently allow people to see your contact information. And, you don't have to say anything. You shouldn't if you said you weren't. But if you're taking your notary kit around and it happens to have a big version of your business card on it, and they're like, oh, can I take a picture of that? Sure. Just be thoughtful about it. Because a lot of times people could need you for something that has completely nothing to do with that arrangement. But again, the integrity comes first. So I hope that doesn't sound shady, but that's just the way.
No, I mean, it's the price of business. It's the cost of business or I guess no cost of business for using signing services. That's what you are signing up for. You've got to follow their rules. It's what makes direct marketing much more lucrative for you, right? Because you're putting in the effort yourself. But I want to be very mindful of the time because we are right up on the end of the call. But I know we've got one more question from Faith. Sydney, are you okay with staying for an extra couple of
Totally
minutes?
fine. Yeah, of course.
Fabulous. Faith in Texas, what is your question for Sydney?
Hi, Sydney. Thanks for coming by. You got a cool name, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I can't take credit for it. My mom came up with mine. Well, actually, both my parents, but thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So mine is mostly a comment because I post on Google My Business 4 times a week and I really dig it.
Mm.
So what do you think about, I like doing it and I would like to continue doing this. When do you think I should venture off into other platforms?
So depending on your goals, anytime someone asks me a marketing question, my first thought is always, well, what's your goal? So I'm going to assume, well, let me not assume. Tell me what your goal is, Faith. Why are you interested in branching out from Google?
I'm not really interested in doing it that way. I just heard you talk about it, about
Okay.
post. Yeah, that's the
So
only reason
are you
why.
looking for more clients or more revenue or more partners or?
I would like to get more calls from, which I'm getting a lot of calls from people who need estate planning documents like powers of attorneys. I've been
Hmm.
going to homes, I've been going to hospitals strictly from my Google page because when they call, I ask them, well, how did you find me? She said, I Googled you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I would suggest is before you just pick one of the platforms, I would, and there's an exercise around this in the ebook that I shared, but really think about who is your ideal client and what platforms they're active on. So if you want more of that kind of estate planning or whatever other business is, um, think about spending some time and energy on that particular platform. And then the other thing I would say too is if you're getting good success with the content that you're posting on Google, so I love that you're posting 4 times a week. Kudos to you. That's fantastic. Maybe you can repurpose that content and use a different image or change the language slightly or post them on different days and repurpose that same content onto another platform to get more visibility and do more of what's working. That's always the goal in marketing is to do more of what's working and less of what's not. So I would say do some research and determine which platform makes sense, and then do some work around repurposing your content that has performed well and start publishing that on the other platform.
What do you mean by repurpose?
So repurpose means like, let's say um, you have an update on your Google business profile specifically about um, estate planning, right? So I'm making this up. I don't know what's on your Google profile. Maybe
Right.
instead of just general estate planning, you take that same content, but instead you focus on trust specifically or wills specifically. So repurpose means to take the content and reconfigure it slightly and then reuse it in a different way.
Okay, yeah, because when I introduce a product, I also make a post and update about a product. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Great
you're welcome.
question. Great question, Faith. Well, Sydney, man, this has been an amazing hour plus, and I know you have some final comments for us
Yeah,
before we go today.
I do. I first just want to say thank you for having me. This is fantastic. And I'm really excited for you all to keep learning from Jen and Laura. And also that just that you're interested in marketing. So many communities I see around notaries, people have such a poor taste in their mouth about marketing. And so I'm really thrilled that you guys were so interested in this topic. So thank you for your attention. And especially because the link didn't work like I didn't want it, like I wanted it to. You know, technology is great when it works, and it's super irritating when it doesn't. I am happy to. I'm going to get it fixed hopefully in the next couple of hours, and Jen will get that out to you. But if you buy that today, I'm going to do another Q&A just for this group to answer more of your questions because I know once you read it, you're going to have more questions. So I'm going to add that in as a bonus because my technology glitched on me today and I didn't want that experience for you. So yeah, I'll add that in. So make sure that when she sends you that link, you hop right on that. And everybody who buys today will have a chance to participate in that Q&A.
Wow, Sydney, thank you so much. That's so generous that you are giving of your time to everyone on the call today. So I will be emailing you guys. I have your email addresses, don't forget. I will be emailing you guys the link to the chat, and then Sydney can follow up with a time and date and all that when she will be answering your questions. And we've already had comments in the chat, Sydney, that they want you to come back. And I just want to,
Oh, that's so sweet.
I just want to share with you guys that Sydney is working on some stuff for the notary community, and you will be seeing her again. So, so glad that you were able to come today. Laura, do you have any last comments before we wrap up?
One, but it didn't quite go with today's topic, but I'll give it to you anyway. Think about our busy schedules and how do we get everything fit together, and we got one more call, one more job, one more thing, not even our business, but our family and everybody else. And I want to remind you that no is a complete sentence.
I love that. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Thank you again, Sydney, for your time and your expertise. And I hope you guys all have an amazing week. We'll see you back here next week on TNT. Bye-bye.
Everyone.
Bye.